Really good morning to you. It is 7 a.m. Is that right? I thought it was still 1 a.m. Good morning. It's Tuesday, August 26th, 2025. Literally, Mike Favetta was saying in my ear, Happy Friday 2 seconds ago. So now I'm thinking, is it Friday? Is it Tuesday? Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll take your calls. 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. Sunshine, little clouds today. Highs in the upper 70s. Beautiful spring-like day. I don't like to say fall. We'll say spring. We head to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the first check of the Garden State forecast for this Tuesday. Good morning, Mike.
Friday and spring. You're just really messing everybody up this morning, thinking it's it's we're throwing back to earlier at times. But yeah, it does feel quite chilly. It's a little bit of a refreshing breeze this morning across New Jersey, and yet there are cooler mornings to come, Ken, especially tomorrow morning when some parts of New Jersey will be in the 40s. That's how cool it'll be. Right now, low 50s in northern New Jersey, Sussex and Morristown, 52 for you, even down the shore there toward the Pine Barrens, cooling off quite a bit, 57 in Atlantic City. So certainly that chill in the air with temperatures making it feel rather cool. It's a good 13 or 14 degrees cooler than this time yesterday. So a big difference in temperatures all across the state, even at the coast where you're running a little cool as well. You can thank the dew point or the dry air for that, making it feel nice and chilly early on a Tuesday morning. And with it, we'll stay dry today. Lots of sunshine around this morning. A light, very calm breeze today, with even the wind gusts this afternoon not even going beyond 19 or 20 miles per hour. And that's with a sea breeze at the coast. So it'll feel lovely all through this afternoon. A nice calm breeze into this evening and tomorrow, predominantly from the west and northwest. And that's what drives out the clouds and brings in some more of that clear, refreshing breeze into tomorrow. Now, we look at the futurecast, doesn't show much. Today, we'll climb into the upper 70s only, maybe get to 80 in Tom's River. That's about it by 2 o'clock this afternoon. But by the end of the day, a few passing clouds move on by. You see a few dots of green. I doubt it's going to rain. But look what happens tonight. By 6 a.m. into tomorrow morning, we dip to 47 degrees in Sussex, 49 in Morristown, and 52 in Mount Holly. It's chilly no matter where you start your day tomorrow, only climbing into the mid 70s as a high tomorrow afternoon. So that is failing even to reach average high by the end of the day. It's chilly again Thursday morning. We start off again in the 40s across the northern part of the state, climbing only to the upper 70s with that lovely dry breeze taking us through the end of the week. Now, by the time we get to Friday, that's our next chance of seeing some extra clouds, and there could be a shower by the end of the week, but overall, it's looking pretty dry until then and cool. Those crisp mornings will lead to warm, sunny afternoons. This is good weather for actually making the fall foliage because you need a good dry period with the cool mornings and the warm, sunny afternoons to start seeing those leaves change colors, and they will pretty soon, especially as we approach the fall autumnal equinox, just 3 weeks away. It's coming up. We'll talk more about
No,
the weekend weather, Ken, in a few
nope,
minutes. What?
not going to happen. You know
No.
why it's not going to happen? I'm going to wrap every single tree on the planet with an electric blanket and keep the temperature at like 68 degrees and prevent the change of
Oh,
the leaves.
okay. Well, tidbit for you because now it's the first time that we're doing the show during the fall season, Ken. The
Mhm.
uh, the chlorophyll responds to the sunlight. So, with shorter daylight hours, that's what triggers the chlorophyll to seep back into the tree and show the beautiful anthocyanins and the colors underneath embedded in the leaves. So, you got to get the artificial sunlight there too. So, what got to come up with some sort of big plan here. Maybe talk to Jeanine Hoffman and her Energy Manners. Maybe she can have a little bit of artificial energy to figure out how to make these trees stay green a little longer.
Way to cross promote the shows, Mike. That's the way to do it, baby. We love you. All right, excellent. Well, I could also just get one of the old sun lamps and just put it on every tree, but it might cost a little
Right.
bit. New Jersey, the electric rates are so high right now, it'd be a little cost prohibitive. But anyway, thank you so much, Mike. We appreciate you, pal. We'll
You
check
bet.
back in a little bit. It is 57 degrees in northern New Jersey, 58 in Trenton right now. Very fresh. It is actually, yes, in spite of the fact that I prefer summer, you walk outside right now, this is delicious weather to walk the dog, go for a jog. It is delicious. There's no other way to describe it. I opened the door to water the plants on the balcony. I thought, oh my God, it's gorgeous out. It's just perfect. Anyway, Enough said. We do have some traffic to talk about that isn't so gorgeous. Right now, we have a crash on I-80. It is eastbound west of exit 52, which is Route 613, Passaic Avenue in Fairfield. Two left lanes of the three lanes blocked. There they are on your screen. Thank you so much, NJ511, for those wonderful cameras. That is what they're giving us. So just to order, they give us that. Not too far from there, about 4 or 5 miles away, there's a crash on I-80 express lanes westbound east of exit 63, which is Route 17 north in Lodi. One left lane closed through there. We have a crash on the Garden State Parkway southbound south of exit 83, which is Route 9 north in Toms River. The right shoulder's blocked. And we have a crash on 295 northbound north of exit 47, which is Burlington Mount Holly Road in Springfield Township. The left lane is now closed. The approaches to the Hudson River right now, we're told the Lincoln and the Holland are both moving very well, 5 to 10 minute crossover time. Take a look at the GWB upper and lower levels, 8095 approach, and you could see everything is fine on the lower level, which is on your left. The upper level, there is an issue, and I'm not seeing it yet. They're not right. They haven't written something yet. Let's see. Express lanes, Broadway. Oh, no, there is something. There is something here. It says New Jersey Turnpike express lanes northbound. All lanes open, but 1 mile delay due to delays on the GWB. So NJ411 people are telling us that's the traffic people. They're saying that there is a delay on the GWB. We don't know what it is, but clearly it's the upper level. So if you look at the right side of your screen, you'll see that's the delay. I'm sure it'll translate to the lower level soon. So if you're headed to the GWB, maybe take as an alternate your Lincoln option, because that's actually better than the GWB right now. Yeah, two cars, two cars deciding to sneak down the breakdown lane. Not a good idea. You'll get caught. You will get caught. All right, we'll check back with that in a little bit. It is 7:07 in Belmar. A shocking road rage incident caught on camera Saturday afternoon on D Street. 37-year-old Anthony Alvear allegedly punched a 70-year-old cyclist, breaking his jaw after there was a little bit of a verbal dispute over a stop sign. The victim, hospitalized and recovering from surgery, was riding with his wife when Alvear stopped his car and attacked. I will say this, I've encountered this now twice in the last week. A lot of bicyclists are extremely I get it. A lot of you think every car has to look out for you, but remember, you're also a vehicle on the road. And bicyclists that I'm encountering, and I know this is anecdotal, it's just a few that I've encountered, they tend this year, more than any, they tend to be obnoxious. The ones I've had, like the whole world has to stop for them. Dude, that is a car road. Sorry. You can say, but I pay taxes too. Yeah, and your vehicle is a lot more susceptible to getting crushed than the big four-wheel vehicle. So be polite and respectful to each other. But if you're a bicyclist, don't think the whole world can see you at all times, because guess what? We can't. Anyway, Alvear was quickly arrested, charged with aggravated assault. He faces up to 10 years in prison. He's currently being held at Monmouth County Correctional Institution. 7:08, a Skillman mother who admitted to suffocating her two young children in 2021 was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Yue Chow, whose hands were zip tied to the steering wheel of her disabled car, killed her 7-year-old daughter and 10-month-old son. They were found bound in their car seats. Deemed a danger to herself and others, she is now under inpatient hospitalization with court-monitored treatment. 7:09 in Ocean County, 6 residents have been charged in a major narcotics bust following a 2-month investigation. Authorities targeted a Toms River business and residences in Waretown and Jackson, uncovering a drug delivery service called the Green Bean. Detectives seized over 25 pounds of marijuana, methamphetamine, psilocybin, which is hallucinogenic mushrooms, and a loaded handgun. Glenn and Jennifer Jazikoff face multiple charges, including endangering the welfare of a child, while 4 others were charged with distribution and conspiracy. 7:09 in Ventnor City, a 24-year-old police officer, Ryan Bonani, faces serious charges, including second-degree official misconduct and computer theft, plus 3 counts of third-degree invasion of privacy. Bonani allegedly recorded a woman undressing and engaging in a sex act in a holding cell on July 6th, then shared the footage on Snapchat. The Ventnor Police Department reported the incident to prosecutors the next day. Bonani, who's a 2-year veteran, now remains in custody. 7:10 in Asbury Park, 2 police officers are being hailed heroes for saving an 8-year-old boy from a raging house fire on Prospect Avenue. They responded to 911 calls at 8:45 in the morning Monday. Officers John Walsh and DeWitt Bacon arrived as flames engulfed the second floor. They caught the boy just as he jumped from a window. New Jersey State PBA President Peter Andreev praised their split-second actions, calling them true heroes who make a difference every day. Let me point something out because I have relatives who are firefighters, relatives who are police. When somebody jumps, even a child who jumps from a second floor window, the people catching them, you could break your neck, you could break your back, you could break your arms, you could break your shoulder because as the speed increases as the individual comes down, it's like the weight increases. So when you start out at 25 pounds, by the time you hit the ground you could be 100 pounds, and that 100 pounds going full speed into the rescuer arms, it could have been dangerous for everybody. Praise God that everyone is fine, and those officers are heroes. God bless you. 7-Eleven water is flowing again in Patterson's Riverside section after crews were able to repair a 42-inch water main break at North First and Arch Streets over the weekend. The Passaic Valley Water Commission restored service by Monday afternoon miraculously, but they had to pause a flushing program addressing an earlier August 8th break that left thousands under a boil water advisory for 18 days. So flushing will resume today to improve water quality. We had the director of the Passaic Valley Water Commission on last week. This guy is sharp. And those of you in Patterson, Halden, North Halden, all the areas affected by this, you're very lucky to have this guy in charge. He is a sharp cookie and he knows his stuff. The basic problems that they were having, those are 140 plus year old pipes. And when you find one that breaks, where do you get a replacement? You can't go to Home Depot. The one that broke right there, that was a 40-inch main. The ones that broke last week were 36 and or I'm sorry, something like a 36 and a 30-inch or something, or a 36 and a 24. They don't have them in stock ready to go because they're so huge you can't store them anywhere. So they literally had to source one here and one there, and he managed to do it. So methinks he probably had one ready to go just in case this happened, thankfully, and he got that fixed fast. You got a good guy working for you there. 712 in Atlantic City, a shell recycling program is boosting oyster habitats. The NJ Department of Environmental Protection, Jetty Rock Foundation, and partners collected discarded oyster shells from restaurants. Yes, they're pure calcium carbonate. That's what they're made of, saving waste costs and keeping shells out of landfills. The shells are cured and they are deployed to enhance Mullica River oyster reefs because oysters, the new baby oysters, need more calcium to grow. So if you take the dead oyster shells, you crush them up, put them there. Now the baby oysters can live off of the calcium carbonate from the other oyster shells. So this supports a resilient, self-sustaining population. The program's Project SHELL, clever, also educates students on marine conservation. This eco-friendly initiative is expanding with new restaurant partners and public drop-off sites. Why didn't we think of this 100 years ago? Brilliant. You know that there were so many lobsters in New England. This is a true story. 150, 200 years ago when they first arrived in Maine, that people, they used to crawl up on the land and they used to take them and throw them in their what is now driveways. And when they had horse and buggies, they would let the horse and buggies drive over the shells. And that's how they made their calcium driveways. They didn't have blacktop. That's what they did back in the day. 3 school districts in Florida will test out a series of new drones armed with pepper spray pellets that are specifically designed to stop school shootings. This is brilliant. Campus Guardian Angel, a Texas based company, leave it to Texas, that engineered the drone tech system, came up with the concept. Miami Dade County Public Schools, the biggest in the state, has already shown interest in participating. They held test runs on campus in July. The drones would always be kept there at the school. So each school would have its own drone on a charger in a cabinet that no one could access but the principal, etc. And what would happen is in an emergency, the teachers and the principal would have a code that would open the cabinet, and then the drone could be released, and it would be controlled remotely from one of these officials in Texas. So they would be able to have cameras on the drones, and they could have the drone follow the shooter in. If the shooter shoots at the drone, who cares if the drone gets shot? But the drone could launch pepper spray, etc., or projectiles at the potential shooter and stop that person in their tracks, literally helping to avoid a tragedy immediately before police could arrive or potentially get shot themselves. This is brilliant. We got a lot of smart stuff happening today. And President Trump has signed a pair of executive orders to eliminate cashless bail in the U.S. One order directs the administration to identify federal funding that could be taken away from states and cities that refuse to give up cashless bail. The other specifically moves to end the policy in Washington, D.C., as part of Trump's ongoing takeover of law enforcement in the nation's capital. Since cashless bail has been introduced by the leftist lawmakers in Democrat cities across the country, serious crime has skyrocketed.
We like clean, we like beautiful, and we like safe, and that's what we're getting. So I'll start signing the executive orders. To me, this is a very, very big deal. One of the executive orders has to do with cashless bail. That was when the big crime in this country started.
And the number of liberal cities, a number of them in the last year have said that crime has dropped dramatically. Well, guess what? Looks like they're all full of baloney. Apparently, and this is like, you know the old rule about a secret? When you tell one person it's no longer a secret. Well, apparently this has been what looks like and smells like, and this is not proven yet, but looks and smells to be a bit of a coordinated effort by among a large number of liberal elites running liberal large cities around the country, where they have been, liberals love to redefine and rename everything. If you look, they love to use different pronouns, and they love to say that murder is inappropriately removal of a person's life. No, it's murder. Okay. They love to change the name of everything. So what have they done? Apparently in a number of big cities, and this is being investigated by FBI Director Kash Patel. There's been what he's calling a massive conspiracy of doctored crime numbers because they have renamed a number of murders in big cities as accidents. So say, for instance, you got shot, and then once you got shot in the head, you fell backwards out a window. That would be called death by accident. So it's no longer labeled a murder, but it's a murder. If you didn't get shot in the head to begin with, you wouldn't have fallen backwards. Just like the liberals in liberal cities played the game for COVID and said that, say, for instance, you had COVID, but you fell backwards out of that window and you died from a 3-story fall, you were listed as dying from COVID. Why? Because the federal government paid hospitals thousands of dollars per person who came in as a victim of COVID, but they didn't pay the hospitals anything for dying from falling out a window. See the game that liberals play? You rename things and you get benefits. So apparently in a number of large cities, and we already know this is being investigated since May in Washington, D.C., where you had the liberal elites in charge telling law enforcement directors to tell the rank and file. This is being investigated right now. This is not some crazy man on the right telling you this. Telling the rank and file, don't list that as a misdemeanor. Just say it was a disobeying a traffic sign. Don't list that as a felony. Put it down as a misdemeanor. Suddenly, lo and behold, crime goes down in all these cities. Why would they do that, Ken? I'll tell you why right now. Because that then gives the liberal elites who run the big liberal cities reason to cut the budget for the police department. Because if crime is down by 30%, we could cut the cost for police by 30%, shrinking the police department, giving a comeuppance to criminals whom you support on the left, and saving all that money, or taking the money that would have been a portion for the police and putting it into your pet causes. It's brilliant, but it's criminal. And when Kash Patel gets to the bottom of it, a lot of people are going to be going down. Bottom line, we have laws, enforce them. If somebody breaks them, keep them in jail. If they can't post bail, we're a nation of laws. They've worked fine for 250 years until far left socialists have shown up, starting to ruin our major urban centers. And they have a corrupted system, which I guarantee in the next 6 months, you will see that will be the center of all that we talk about, is the crimes in the big cities and how the liberals in charge have played this game. That's the next shoe to drop. Mark my words. We have it on tape. Mark the day. Today is the 26th of August, 2025. Remember this date. It is now 58 degrees at 7:19. We'll be back in just a few seconds with New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein and the Inside Edge. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Tuesday. I'm Ken Rosato. It is 7:20. Taking calls at 888-658-0234. Lots of sunshine today, maybe a few clouds at some points. Highs in the upper 70s. That's nice. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State Forecast. Mike, I went outside. You got the doggy. I don't have the doggy anymore, but I went outside to water the plants this morning. And let me tell you, by the way, I'm quite the scene with my hair undone and wearing the big foofy slippers. It scares the neighbors. Let's just say they keep their children inside while I'm doing this, but that's a side story. But um it was one of those days where you didn't want to come back in, right? Just a
It
beautiful
was,
morning, upper
yeah.
50s,
Right.
dry
No, you're
sunshine.
absolutely right. Rocco did not want to come back in. Wanted to take the little long detour, the stroll around the block, just to enjoy all of that pretty feel that's around this morning. Lots of sunshine, cooler breezes. It felt like a crisp fall morning here in New Jersey. And that's the case through this afternoon with a nice dry and warm sunny afternoon as temperatures warm into the upper 70s and low 80s. The low humidity is key. Yesterday, we still had a lot of that humidity. Today, it's nice and dry, and it only gets drier through the rest of the week, promoting nice cool mornings. Here's the high pressure that keeps any of the clouds and storms away. So overall, it's going to look great this afternoon with the humidity that keeps falling into tomorrow as well as Thursday. The dew points dropping into the 40s, even possibly some 30s here. There we go. The Hackensack 39-degree dew point. That is nice and dry, and it feels lovely. Now, by Thursday night, you see a little wind coming in off of the water, keeping the sea breeze around and some more humidity that creeps back in at the coast by Friday. That'll make it feel a little more like summer by Friday afternoon. But once those clouds clear out for Friday, we're back to beautiful sunshine all day Saturday, including on Sunday, just some high thin clouds. And then even Monday, Labor Day looking great with another winter ahead. Nice dry weather continues into the end of the holiday weekend. And I think we're dry even through the good part of next week. So staying clear and crisp across New Jersey with weekend weather just perfection. 76 degrees on Saturday, 77 on Sunday. Warm, sunny, dry, a nice northerly breeze keeping the humidity away, and it looks great going into the first week of September. Ken, no big storms, no big heat waves. We're looking fine for the end of the month.
Looking fine. Okay, looking fine. But you know what? It's sad because it's the end of the summer when August ends. I'm just saying, I'm a little, all of a sudden, getting verklempt on TV. All right, I'll be better. It's a good thing the doctor made that prescription for me. I just have to go fill it. Thank you, Mike. We'll check back with you, sir. 723. The barometric pressure, by the way, is at perfect 30.00 inches of mercury, which is like, and it's on the rise. So beautiful, beautiful. As Mike's been saying, we're going to have beautiful weather for the next few days. That's awesome. 59 degrees right now in northern New Jersey, 58 in Trenton. And in terms of traffic, let's take a look now on I-295 northbound, just north of exit 47, which is Burlington, Mount Holly Road in Springfield Township. The right shoulder is closed right now because there's a crash just beyond that site. So that's causing a little bit of a slowdown, but it's not too bad, as you can see. We do have a crash also on I-280 eastbound at exit 15, which is Route 21 in Newark. The right lane of the two lanes closed. Crash on I-80 eastbound west of exit 52, Passaic Avenue, Fairfield. Two left lanes closed. We showed you that a couple of minutes ago. And we have a crash on the Garden State Parkway southbound, south of exit 83, Route 9 north in Toms River. The right shoulder blocked. 8095 approach to the GWB right now. We were having major problems. They took a different camera shot on the upper level before. Looks like it may have cleared up because beforehand oh no, not at all. I'm wrong. See on the right side, that's still a residual upper level problem. So there was an issue. All they would say is there was an issue in the middle of the GWB. That could be a number of things, and I won't get into the detail. Suffice to say that if they say there's an issue, there's an issue. So the upper level is on the right, and you can see still a residual slowdown. That means there's probably police activity in the middle of the bridge. They're taking care of stuff. So just avoid the upper level of the GWB if you can. The lower level seems to be moving great. 725, it is now time for Politics from Trenton Explained like no one else can do it. Here's New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein with the Inside Edge.
Morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, August 26th. Welcome to the Inside Edge. And in about 2 weeks, Nadine Menendez will stand before a federal judge in a Manhattan courtroom, hoping to avoid years behind bars. Her lawyers say she wasn't the brains behind a scheme that destroyed her husband's 50-year political career. She was fragile, manipulated, a convenient scapegoat, they argue, a gullible woman caught up in something that she never fully understood. But the judge has heard this song before. At Bob Menendez's trial, the defense strategy was to torch Nadine to save Bob. They painted her as the driver of the entire operation, desperate for money, trading his influence for gold bars, cash, and a Mercedes convertible. Bob, they claimed, was just a dazzled husband in love. Jurors didn't buy it. Neither did the judge. Bob Menendez was convicted and sent to federal prison for 11 years, branded as perhaps the most corrupt lawmaker in American history. Now, from his Pennsylvania prison cell, Bob is running one last campaign. And in a letter to the judge, he said he regrets letting his lawyers blame Nadine. He claims he didn't know what they were going to argue. He wants the judge to believe that Nadine isn't the woman prosecutors or even his own defense lawyers made her out to be. Now, this is vintage Menendez. Say whatever you need to say to survive. It worked for decades until it didn't. Because here's the truth that insiders know: Bob Menendez didn't miss anything. He never has. He doesn't delegate important life or death matters. He doesn't wake up surprised. The man micromanaged everything. I mean, every comma in a press release, every handshake at a diner. Control is his sweet spot. And the idea that his lawyers went rogue and torched his wife without his consent, I mean, that's about as believable as a hands-on governor claiming he didn't know why lanes on a bridge were suddenly realigned. So here we are, a once powerful Senate Foreign Relations Committee chairman sitting at a computer terminal in a prison trying to spin one last voter, Sidney Stein, a federal judge. You have to wonder, is this Bob Menendez's final lie, or against all odds, is it his first truth? Stein knows the players. He presided over both trials. He's seen every angle, every contradiction, every escape hatch that had been slammed shut. In less than 2 weeks, on September 11th, he'll decide whether Nadine Menendez was a pawn swept up in her husband's schemes or a partner in crime. When the gavel falls, I guess there's just one thing that's certain: Bob Menendez's political career is over, and what's left is just wreckage. That's it for today, everybody, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wildstein. 7:28 right now. In a fiery Truth Social post, President Trump threatened to reopen an investigation into former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie over the Bridgegate scandal. The comments followed Christie's critical remarks on ABC's This Week, questioning the credibility of Ghislaine Maxwell's praise of Trump.
Look, Chris is a slob. Everybody knows it. I know Chris better than anybody in the room. I always felt he was guilty. But what he did is he took the George Washington Bridge, which is very serious. He closed down the George Washington Bridge. And you had medical people, you had ambulances caught up. This thing was closed down. And obviously he knew about it. But he blamed the young lady that worked for him and another person, and they got into a lot of trouble. She ultimately was, I don't know, exonerated, but she got out of it a little bit. But she went through hell. She was a young mother, nice person. I knew her a little bit. And another man went to jail, and Chris got off. And so when I listen to Chris speak his hate, I say, oh, what about the George Washington Bridge? Tell me.
He doesn't pull any punches, does he? Christie, of course, was a former Trump supporter, also criticized Trump's handling of the classified information compared to the recent FBI raid on John Bolton. Trump accused Christie of lying to avoid prison during Bridgegate, vowing that, quote, no one is above the law. That phrase is going to get tossed around a lot, methinks. 7:30, the Trump administration is appealing a federal judge's ruling that Alina Habba, Trump's former lawyer for, of course, his personal lawyer, and of course, she was the former temporary U.S. attorney for the state of New Jersey, he's fighting, of course, that she come back to New Jersey. Attorney General Pam Bondi filed an appeal Monday after Habba criticized the Senate's blue slip tradition on Fox News, urging that it end. New Jersey Senators Cory Booker and Andy Kim opposed her nomination. So that's what the blue slip option is, that even if you're not the member party in charge, if you are the senators from a specific jurisdiction and you really don't want somebody in that position in your state, you have the right not to bring her to the full Senate for a vote. And that's exactly what the two senators from New Jersey did. Not a law, but a tradition. Despite a judicial panel replacing her with Desiree Lee Grace, Trump reinstated Habba, prompting the legal battle going on right now. The case now heads to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. And scientists from Harvard are warning that pregnant women should only take acetaminophen products like Tylenol on the advice of a doctor amid fears that the painkiller could raise the risk of autism and ADHD in their children. Acetaminophen is widely used by expectant mothers to treat pain, headaches, and fever, but 46 huge separate studies involving over 100,000 participants have all linked acetaminophen to higher rates of autism and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. Now, researchers from Mount Sinai and Harvard's public school or School of Public Health, rather, say their study is the most comprehensive yet and provides the strongest evidence so far of a link. They urge mothers to use Tylenol sparingly, recommending only the lowest effective dose for the shortest possible time, and certainly talk to your doctor about it. But if you look at when acetaminophen first came on the market, and you look at the numbers of ADHD and autism rates, people thought it was just that we were reporting it more or that we were looking for it more. No, there may be a direct correlation in these 46 separate tests. So if you're a mom to be or you know one, talk to them about talking to their doctor. We don't know this conclusively, but there's evidence. Talk to them about talking to their doctor about taking Tylenol during their pregnancy. Very important, or any acetaminophen product for that matter. 7:32. When we come back, Southwest Airlines is changing its travel rules for plus-sized passengers. Erik, the travel guy Hastings, will join us with the details. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. We're back in 30.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman, host of Energy Matters. Join me every night at 6 p.m. where we're discussing energy affordability, challenges, and solutions with stakeholders and elected officials. Join me weekdays at 6 p.m. on Energy Matters on ONNJ.
Very good morning. 58 beautiful degrees, 7:33, Tuesday, August 26th, 2025. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Morning. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta. You get the gold star. And I'm running out of gold stars for you, my friend. You've
Oh, are
given us a
you?
lot of gold star days in the last few months. I'm just saying.
There are many more to come. I think, especially for the weekend, double gold star, triple gold star, because you've got a 3-day weekend ahead for
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, even into Monday for the actual holiday. Great weather ahead with the clear sky that starts now. Notice just some thin clouds out to sea, so we're running dry with those high thin clouds now out over the Atlantic. We keep it sunny through the rest of the day today with temperatures running just a few degrees below average, but we'll take it as we climb into the upper 70s and low 80s today. What a picture perfect beach week with those thin clouds around. Now, with the sun setting at 7:38, yes, the daylight hours are quickly getting shorter, but we're running about 8 to 10 degrees below average today. So with the humidity so low, it feels like a very fall day. The good news is, for the first time in about a week, the rip current risk has dropped to the moderate level. It's obviously due to the calmer seas, no storms out in the Atlantic, and water temperatures warm nicely back into the mid 70s with high tide happening later on this morning and then again later tonight. So there are the remnants of Fernand kind of dissipating as it moves out to sea. Our forecast here at home keeps the sunshine around today. Temperatures on the cooler side, even the afternoon hours, will feel very pleasant with the comfortable level of humidity. A nice cool start tomorrow morning in the upper 40s in northern New Jersey, and predominantly those winds out of the west that linger at least through Thursday. Now, by Friday, you'll see some extra clouds come in. So here's the high that takes over for tomorrow into Thursday, sweeps on by to our south. And then another front comes in for Thursday night into Friday, delivering some extra clouds, maybe a sprinkle. I think it'll just be a grayer sort of day on Friday. And then we're back to sunshine again for the weekend. So nice and pleasantly dry for next weekend into the Monday holiday. There's our chance of rain for Friday. Temperatures running slightly below average even through the end of the week, but with highs that'll rebound back into the upper 70s for Sunday and Monday, even overnight lows down in the 50s, feeling very pleasant across the state. The shore points a little bit milder at night with that sea breeze influence likely taking us into the mid 60s, but afternoon highs getting into the mid 70s by Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So weather perfection all around. Just Friday has that chance of an outside opportunity for some sprinkles. But overall, looking really pleasant going into the upcoming weekend, Ken.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. It is 7:36 right now. Again, 57 crisp, beautiful degrees. We do have some issues on the roadways to report. If you take a look at I-287 right now in, let's see, this is Piscataway. 287 southbound by exit 5, which is Stelton Road and Piscataway. The ramp lane closed. It's causing a little bit of a delay. As you can see, the people headed through that kind of foggy sunshine headed your way, that is causing just a little bit of a delay. Not a massive one, but nonetheless, beware of that. Just got a report of a disabled truck on the Turnpike Outer Roadway southbound, north of Interchange 9, Route 18 in New Brunswick. The right lane is blocked. And if we can get over to I-80 eastbound, west of exit 52, which is Passaic Avenue in Fairfield, the 2 lanes of the 3 lanes are closed. You can see activity on the scene blocking those lanes. So beware of that this morning. Crash on 280 also eastbound at exit 15, Route 21 in Newark with the right lane closed there, and a crash on I-80 at 17 north in Lodi with the left lane closed there, and a crash on the Garden State Parkway southbound. This is south of exit 83, Route 9 north in Toms River with the right shoulder blocked. The Hudson River approaches the Lincoln and Holland tunnels are both reporting only 10 to 15 minutes. We take a look at the 8095 approach with GWB. And earlier this morning, we had an issue reported on the upper level. If you look at the trucks on the right side that are pulled over, something's going on where only trucks before were stopped and not going over. So I don't know if there's a spot inspection. They're not telling us what's going on. They're just saying that there's activity in the middle of the upper level of the GWB. So the fact that there are now all these trucks lined up on the right, sometimes they do spot inspections of the truckers to make sure that their logs are done properly, et cetera. So that could be the case. So it's not common to see all those trucks lined up on the right before the whole upper level was stopped. So we'll see where that goes, but just beware that's going on at the GWB. 7:38 right now. Flying etiquette for the 21st century means different things to different people. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be when you got on a plane when I was a kid, and I'm 58, so 50 years ago. That's a long time. That was when planes were one giant prop and you had a guy went, contact. That was when I was a kid. But so you dressed up. Mom used to pack a little bag of snacks because, you had only in first class did you get food and stuff. It was a special thing. It costs a lot of money. In fact, it cost more probably to fly, even in real money, in real dollars. It probably cost more to fly in the 1970s than it does today. But that aside, have you ever had to sit next to that larger person? And I used to weigh 360 pounds. So I've had this happen to me, and I had to buy a second seat as a result. Okay. Southwest Airlines had a deal for years that if you were a plus size person and you wanted to avoid embarrassment, you could buy the second seat next to you in advance. So you had to pay for it. But if you didn't want to pay for it, you could show up early, introduce yourself at the counter, and they would try to set aside 2 seats on the plane and they would do it for free. Now that's gone. If you are a plus size person and you do not fit into the standard size seats, you must buy a second seat or you're not going to be able to get on the plane. So Erik the Travel Guy Hastings from the awesome travel website, erikthetravelguy.com. That's Erik with a K, and host of the PBS and YouTube travel series Beyond Your Backyard is on this morning to talk about this. And Erik, I'm kind of shocked that there were any airlines still giving a second seat for free.
Well, again, this is a good morning. It's much ado about nothing here, Ken. I don't have a problem with this policy at all. And I still weigh 300 pounds. No problem. That's it.
You're
You
not
say the
300,
thing,
but
we're
either
done.
way.
We're done,
So you're
right? I
looking
mean,
at video, by the way. I want to point out really fast, Erik, the video that we're seeing, this is a woman who posts intentionally that she says that the airlines discriminate against overweight people, and she boasts of her size and the fact that the seats should be larger. But the reality is mechanically planes are only, and I'm not making fun, mechanically planes are only a certain size. It is what it is. You can't, otherwise the plane would only be for the one person.
that's correct. And you know what? I mean, the headline here, of course, is that airplane seats should always be bigger. Of course. I should make more money. You should make more money, can we? There's a lot of shoulds in the world that sometimes just aren't the case. I mean, look, yes, we would like to have more comfortable airline seats, but Southwest Airlines does not have an obligation to anyone other than all of its passengers to sit as many people on that plane as humanly possible. And why is that? Is it because Southwest Airlines, like every other airline, are just greedy, money grubbing uh, companies? Well, yes, I suppose, but they're also trying to keep the prices down for all of us. And here's a little dirty secret I'm sure you're aware of, Ken. Airlines do not like empty planes. They don't like empty seats. The next time you're on an airline, next time you're on a flight, I want you to sit in your seat and look around at those other
Mhm.
seats on that flight. Say you're going down to, I don't care, Miami for the weekend. There you are. That's probably going to be a full flight. Revenue management is a big deal to the airlines. But look around the rest of those seats, and I want you to see them as rotting fruit. Because you know what? That seat on that flight on that day is never going to exist again. And the airlines will do whatever it takes within reason to sell and put somebody in those seats. So while
Which is
Southwest,
why
well, yeah,
Which
sorry,
is
go
why I don't
ahead.
mean to step on you, Erik. I didn't mean to step on you, but that's why also the industry-wide will fly pilots from other and crew from other airlines because they figure in the long haul, we got to get these people from point A to point B, whether it's on our planes or another company's planes, right? So the whole industry helps each other so that
That's
those
right.
seats don't remain empty, correct? So we're going
But
to have them anyway. They'll move our people, we'll move their people.
right. I'm just mad as a hornet this morning because you brought this story up. We were talking about it because, again, the airlines are not public utilities. You do not have a right to fly on an airplane, regardless of your size, your whatever your socioeconomic status. It's not, you don't have to fly. You can take the train, you can take the bus, you can drive, you can walk, you can take a boat. Okay. It's not, I can't tell you how many times, look, the airlines do it to themselves. Don't get me wrong. They make a lot of dumb decisions, but we also love to beat up on the airlines. But you know who really takes the brunt of a lot of these complaints and a lot of these issues? It's the flight crew. It's the actual flight attendants. And by flight crew, I mean the flight attendants themselves. We bring on more than just our baggage onto those airplanes. Not your viewers, of course, Ken. I mean, your viewers are model flyers, I'm sure. But I'm telling you, how many times have you seen lots of emotional baggage being brought on to these airplanes? And we do it to ourselves, and then
100%.
we just throw it off on the flight crew and make them deal with us. It's
By the
really
way,
insane.
Eric, if I may, my husband tends to be grumpy a lot because of his hours. He gets up
Yeah,
at 11:30 at night and works till 10 in the morning. So during normal daylight hours, he's like walking around as a zombie because he works in
right.
the industry, as you know. When we get on planes, he always used to get on like this. And I used to tell him, and now he does this intentionally because I told him, as you walk on, the following will change your entire flight experience. You look at each flight attendant dead in the eye and you say, "Hey, how was your flight up? We're going to have good weather going down. What do you think?" That's all it takes. Attention. But you got to look them right in the eye. Not, how's it going? Respect. It's amazing. You'll get them coming over. Hey, you want an extra snack? You want? It is amazing that ounce of respect.
I'm
Ounce. That's
telling you,
all it takes. Changes the
it's
whole
all
flight
it takes.
experience.
I know we have limited time. I will tell you, a lot of people ask me what I personally do. They do this. How can I have a better flight? How can I? And I always say, look, by the time you get on the airplane, your work to have a fantastic flight, or at least increase the chances of having a fantastic flight, begin about a year prior to you taking that flight. And that may sound a little crazy, but about 6 to 8 months out, I always think to myself, gee, I'm going to go to this thing. I'm going to save another 30%. However much I think that flight's going to cost, I just save another 30%. That way, when it's time to book that flight, if it's a little more expensive than I wanted it to be, I have the funds available. I do that. I have my documents in order. I've got a real ID. I carry my passport. I have all of my, I have global entry, which includes TSA pre-check. I realize it's a charge, but look, having your documents in hand and ready to go also keeps you from. I make my seat selection. I play by the airline's rules. I download their app. I'm a member of their frequent flyer program. There's little things that you can do. I choose the right flight for me. I like early morning flights. Ken, I know Chris is not a big fan because he gets up in the middle of the night. I don't mind getting up at
Hmm.
3 o'clock in the morning because I like to
Me
get
too.
where I'm going. I also, just like everywhere else, LaGuardia, by about 10 o'clock in the morning, is already backed up. Why? Small airport, lots of traffic. So I like to get out. So I do early morning flight. The way I pack has everything to do with my own sanity. Is it a nonstop flight? A lot of people don't know when you're on a regional jet, even your carry-on has to be put under the plane. Don't let it stress you out. You have to get it curbside. You remember how to do it. So there's so
Hmm.
many things that you can do long before you even get on the plane to keep it together.
This is why you are Eric the Travel Guy Hastings. And by the way, when you're in Orlando, stop by the Speakeasy Murder Dinner Theater and check that out. It's a fabulous night of murder, mystery, and dinner. That's why it's called the Murder Mystery Dinner Theater.
Very,
It's awesome.
you're very kind.
Check it
Thank
out.
you, sir.
Well, you are awesome. Eric the Travel Guy Hastings from the travel website, ericthetravelguy.com. That is Eric with a K, and host of the PBS and YouTube travel series Beyond Your Backyard. I love you like a brother from another mother, my friend. Thanks for coming on this
Likewise.
morning, Eric. You
Likewise.
got
Thank
it.
you, sir.
Thank you, Eric. It is 7:47. Pam, let's forego break because of our time. And right now, Mike Favetta is standing by. It is one of those beautiful, delicious mornings. When you set foot outside, you'll say, "Are you kidding?" If it could be this way every morning, year round, even I would be okay with fall, maybe for a couple of days. 7:47 is our time, and meteorologist Mike Favetta says what the rest of the day will be like. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Yes, a crisp, delicious feel to the morning. It looks beautiful and feels even nicer with highs today in northern New Jersey climbing to the mid and upper 70s, likely touching 80 out toward Newark and Jersey City. But it's the low humidity that's key. Feels like Southern California on a day like today without all the weird people. Notice all of the clear, I didn't say that. Notice all the clear sky up in northern New Jersey over the last few weeks has allowed for a little bit of a drought to persist. And that's the moderate level of drought that remains this week up in the northern part of the state because of a rainfall deficit. We've been running on the order of maybe 2 to 4 inches less than average over the last 30 days. Well, that'll persist going into the next few weeks, especially with some dry weather around. So we had an area of development yesterday down in the Caribbean, which is now kind of petered out into nothing. So there is no tropical development in the next several days. And the good news is for the beaches, the wave heights are pretty low into this holiday weekend. Really good news considering how rough it was last weekend. Kind of missed out on a beach weekend and had all, of course, the flooding. But even going into the middle of next week, we should be seeing pretty okay conditions. As far as the temperature outlook, we're average into the first week of September. However, there's a slightly drier period that'll develop going into the first week of September, pretty much where we don't need it. So I think that drought only gets worse by the time the forecast updates for next week from the Drought Monitor. Our forecast this week continues with the clear sky until Friday. That's our only day of a chance of rain, and it's not even going to be a lot of rain. A couple sprinkles around that'll come through. I think Saturday and Sunday bring back the dry weather just in time for the weekend. That's also the case at the shore. After a little bit of a wet start on Friday, that wet weather remains, and then Saturday and Sunday keeps it nice and dry with overnight lows down in the 60s. Up north, it'll feel even cooler in the 50s. So great weather to enjoy the holiday, Ken, with lots of sunshine around.
Thank you so much, Mike. A beautiful morning it is. 7:50 right now, 59 degrees in northern New Jersey, 58 in Trenton. We take a look right now at an issue. Pardon me. There's a crash on Route 139 lower level southbound, just east of Tunnelly Avenue in Jersey City. This is right near, you can see right near the Holland Tunnel. Take a look at the leftmost lane, and that's what's being impacted right now, all the way on the left side of the screen. So they had the left lane closed because of this crash. Again, this is New Jersey Route 139 lower level southbound east of Tunnelly Avenue in Jersey City, with that left shoulder, left lane being blocked all the way as you see there on the left side of your screen. So be aware of that. A little bit of a slowdown. We have a disabled truck on the Turnpike outer roadway southbound north of Interchange 9, Route 18 in New Brunswick, with the right lane blocked, and a crash with injuries 287 southbound exit 5, which is Stelton Road and Piscataway, with the ramp lane closed. Crash on 280 eastbound Route 21 Newark, with the right lane closed, and a crash on I-80 express lanes westbound east of exit 63, Route 17 north in Lodi, the left lane currently closed. Also a crash just reported Garden State Parkway southbound south of exit 83, Route 9 north in Toms River Township. The right shoulder is blocked. The Hudson River approaches 80-95 of the GWB still have a little bit of a slowdown, and you could see some trucks off to the right because there was an earlier incident across the upper level of the GWB. You could still see that they're pulled over on the right side. Otherwise, the GWB has vastly improved in the last half hour, and the Lincoln and Holland only reporting 15-minute crossover times. Our time is 7:51. A new school year approaching brings excitement in classrooms all across New Jersey. Students gathering, packing their new book bags, picking out their first day outfits, and catching up with friends. Meanwhile, parents are running a parallel back to school checklist, trying to make sure their kids are healthy and ready to learn. Joining us now is Dr. Katherine Clouser, who is Vice Chair of Pediatrics at Hackensack Meridian Joseph M. Sanzari Children's Hospital, to walk us through what parents should remember before sending their kids back to school. Doctor, good morning. Good to have you on with us.
Good morning, Ken. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, what are the most important health priorities for kids heading back to school right now? What do they need to be ready with?
You know, it's a really exciting time, and it's kind of funny, right? Because the parents are the ones doing the homework right now, making sure the forms are in, speaking to their pediatricians, making sure that the required vaccines are up to date. And I think that one thing to remember is that it's easy to forget the fifth and sixth grade, depending on your child's age. There are some required vaccines in there. So if you haven't done them yet, make sure that you call your pediatrician's office. This week is always very busy in pediatricians' offices. But if parents have all that done, I think the most important thing to focus on this week is sleep, actually. Usually summertime, as we all remember, sleep kind of goes out the window. You're allowed a little later bedtime, sleep in maybe a little bit in the morning if you don't have camp or sports. And so it's really important this week to start to focus on that sleep hygiene. Bringing that bedtime back down if you need to, about 15 minutes every night will not make it so disruptive, and really focusing on turning off those devices. I know I'm guilty of that. I'm sure that many of us are, right? Turning off those devices 10 to 15 minutes and really kind of starting that early so that you're an hour before bedtime when school starts is going to be really, really important.
You really nail that with the whole. I mean, all of us, not just kids, right? During the summer when the light is out until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, I always find myself feeling tired in the winter by about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, wanting a half an hour nap or so. Whereas in the summer, when that bright, beautiful sunshine, I keep going. And you physically, it's not that you're forcing yourself. You physically, right? Your body responds to that light, that vitamin D, and you just want to keep going. So that's so smart to take it 15 minutes, a little bit each day, so that it doesn't feel like boom, getting hit in the head. So why are back to school physicals and required health paperwork so important, especially for kids who have chronic conditions? Like my husband has really bad asthma. He has since he's a child, and he's always had to go to the pulmonologist before. So why is that so important for kids?
Schools have nurses available to students, and they are wonderful. They do a ton of things. They can dispense medications, but they need a doctor's order. They need guidance from your physician to make sure that they're doing the right thing. So seeing that doctor, getting the correct weight, making sure all your prescriptions are up to date. I think of kids with, you're right, with asthma, with chronic conditions, looking at those medications. Are they expired? Do we need to replace them? Kids with allergies, do we need to replace those EpiPens? It's really important to think about all of that. And doing those school forms kind of forces you to do it. So I know that it's one more thing to check off that list as you're buying school supplies and getting your backpack in order and doing all those things, but it really forces you to kind of take a look. Oh, I need to replace that inhaler. It turns out it's expired, and allowing your kid to have the best start in school that they're possibly able to have.
And there's that new, correct me if I'm wrong, there's, and I don't know that it's for everybody. You're the doctor, you could tell me certainly. You talked about the EpiPen. I have anaphylaxis, so I carry one. But now there's a new nasal spray, is Epi something it's called, right? That kids, is that easier for kids or is that just for adults right now? Do you know?
It is available for most kids. It's above a specific weight. So again, going to your specific doctor is going to be really important. But you're correct. And the child who's having an anaphylactic reaction, for those of you who still have EpiPens around, they don't care if they're getting injected or if it's a nasal, just do what you need to do. But many parents are still uncomfortable injecting their child, right? It's a needle in there. It's not the most comfortable thing. So this nasal spray is a nice kind of alternative to that. Works just as well, makes it a little easier for anyone, even someone who's not trained, to kind of give it. And it really does make a difference to kids who are afraid of needles in particular.
And for what it's worth, I have had to inject myself. You feel the punch, you don't feel the needle. So people who are needle phobic, you don't feel the pin. You really don't. I've had it happen. It's like doing this to your leg. Do that with your fist. If you don't mind doing that, you won't even know. So if the choice is, my face was blown up to here. The choice is not breathing or feeling a little punch on your knee. You take the punch above, I shouldn't say your knee, but your thigh. You take the punch on your thigh 100%. So what are the vaccinations that New Jersey schools require? Because I noticed now that as we were going through my local pharmacy, right away, of course, they go down the checklist. Did you want your flu shot? Up. And now I noticed they were asking, do you need an MMR shot? So is that because there was a flu case, I mean, not a flu, a measles case found in northern New Jersey, that they were asking that as people were driving through to pick up scripts?
Yeah, so we're having a resurgence of measles, more cases in northern New Jersey than we've had in past years. And what we've also found is, particularly for adults, sometimes that immunity can wane. And what that means is that over time, that vaccine becomes less and less effective. And it was less of an issue when everyone was getting those vaccines and we weren't seeing cases. And as people have kind of made some different choices, but we're also seeing more cases related to a whole host of things, they're trying to protect the adults as well, because adults don't want measles. It takes you out of work. It's really uncomfortable. So before kindergarten, children are up to date with that measles vaccine. So if you have not received it, you want to double check that with your pediatrician. But that's one of those kindergarten entrance ones. Along with the chicken pox, you're going to have protection from tetanus and pertussis and some other kind of common illnesses that can cause pneumonia, meningitis, lots of different things by kindergarten. So the two major times that you need to catch up on those vaccines are kindergarten and then fifth and sixth grade, depending on your child's age, where their birthday falls. Those are the really big requirements for schools.
And of course, I have 6 nephews and nieces, no kids of my own, but 6 nephews and nieces. And every time I would see them growing up, and they're different age groups. The one side is in their 20s now, and the other side, they're in their single digits. And every time you go to the house, you hear loose cough, sneezing, pink eye, this, that, the other. There's so many things, strep throat, flu. So what are the simple hygiene practices that parents have to keep reminding their kids about and should keep reminding them over and over again to prevent or slow down the spread of the common school year illnesses?
We let hand washing kind of go by the wayside sometimes in the summer, right? We're outside, we're away from people, you're in and out of the ocean, you're in and out of the pool, you're not thinking about washing your hands. When we gather 18 to 25, young kids together, they're all going to share everything, and that includes their germs. So teaching your kids, even those in preschool, pre-K, kindergarten, how to wash their hands and how to do a really effective job is very important. I always tell parents, the hand sanitizer is really handy. Throw that in the bag, but since it's not always available, making sure that you're talking about how do I wash my hands. A really easy way is to sing happy birthday. As they sing happy birthday and wash their hands, everyone knows that song. It's the right amount of time to really get the most effective hand hygiene, which is the best part of everything. And that's something that can translate whether they're at the mall, on a field trip, at school, right before lunch, however it is. The other thing is, if your child is sick, keep them home. That's going to be the best way to prevent this spread across, which I know is really challenging in some ways, but we really want to protect and make sure that not everyone in the class gets the same cold. And the last thing that you can really work on is teaching your child how to sneeze, which I know sounds silly, right? We should all know how to sneeze, but sneezing away from your friends into your elbow, kind of like we talk about a vampire there. Sorry to cover my mouth while I'm speaking, but looking like a vampire is really important to protect other people, because much of our viruses are spread from someone else touching kind of that mucus that comes out when you sneeze.
Amen. What great advice. Dr. Katherine Clouser, Vice Chair of Pediatrics at Hackensack Meridian Joseph M. Sanzari Children's Hospital. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Nice to have you on.
Thank you for having me. Have a great weekend.
You as well. It is 8 o'clock, and when we come back, we'll take your calls. 888-658-0234. Sunshine, a few clouds today, a little cooler. Highs upper 70s. Beautiful day. Full Garden State forecast in a minute. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We'll be right back. Very good morning to you. 8:01, Tuesday, August 26th, 2025. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234. Sunshine, a few clouds today, cooler, but cooler in a nice way. Nice and dry, highs in the upper 70s. Hey, if you're thinking about going and having lunch sometime outside, this is the day. Let's head to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a check of the Garden State forecast. Mike, I know it's only 8:01, but I'm going to go have lunch right now. I'll see you later.
It
Take it easy.
sounds fantastic. Make it like an all day lunch, Ken. You know, you can maybe sip the summer into the afternoon. With weather tomorrow and Thursday also looking beautiful. I think we've got a really solid stretch of pretty weather that'll keep the afternoons dry, sunny, but still warm. As we start off each morning a little cool, as is the case right now. Still the 50s up in Sussex, climbing through the 60s right now down at the shore points and in the cities, but still 13 degrees cooler than this time yesterday in Flemington. So feeling fine all through this afternoon. The dew points are nice and low, so the humidity remains low into this afternoon. And we're running clear, not a cloud in the sky throughout this morning. Any of those clouds are far offshore. So, as far as the winds are concerned this afternoon, it'll be a pretty calm day. You'll notice a little bit of a sea breeze develop later on this afternoon toward the shore, maybe gusts up to about 20 miles per hour. But that just brings in a pleasant feeling, keeping the temperatures at the beaches a little bit milder each evening into tomorrow and Thursday, whereas up north in the hills in northern New Jersey, it'll be quite chilly. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Come this afternoon, we get a few passing clouds. It'll still be a dry finish to the day, but with another round of cool weather, we start off at 47 tomorrow morning in Sussex, 49 in Morristown, and even the upper 50s at the beaches. It's another warm and sunny afternoon on your Wednesday, but by Thursday morning, we're back down in the 40s again in northern New Jersey. So a really chilly start each and every morning, with the sunshine warming us back up into the 70s by the afternoon. Pleasant weather remains right through the day on Thursday. It's Friday that some extra clouds come around, and there could be some spotty sprinkles around. Notice temperatures hold in the 60s in the northern part of the state, low 70s down south. I don't think it's looking like the prettiest day. Likely have those clouds that linger through the first part of the weekend, but then by Sunday, it all moves out. Even Saturday could clear out nicely, especially the way these systems are moving by pretty quickly. So in terms of your day tomorrow, we climb back up to 78, still running below average for Thursday, but we'll take 80, especially with the dry weather, and then mostly cloudy skies on Friday. Again, Friday is the only day where we have even a chance of rain over the next week. So the weekend looking beautiful right through the holiday. We'll talk more about it with the weekend weather, Ken, coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Mike. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate it. 8:04 is our time. We have a crisp, beautiful 59 degrees in northern New Jersey. Temperature is 58 degrees in Trenton. Let's take a look at this problem we're having right by this is right near the Holland Tunnel. Look at this. This is building now. We showed you this 15 minutes ago. It was nowhere near this level, but there's a crash, Route 139 lower. the southbound, east of Tunnelly Avenue in Jersey City with the left shoulder closed. So this is as you're coming from the Holland Tunnel into Jersey City. Take a look if we can. That is one direction. Pam is going to switch camera shots to show the same incident from the other side. It's kind of hard to see because of the sun in the lens and the dirt on the lens, but way off on the left, you can kind of see the mass of cars. Again, this is a crash on 139 lower, southbound east of Tunnelly Avenue, Jersey City with the left shoulder closed, and it's causing about a mile delay. Don't be surprised if you start seeing the delay go right to the Holland Tunnel, which could very well be. But this is as you come into New Jersey, not as you're getting out of New Jersey. So it's for the reverse commuters, if you will. We have a disabled truck reported on the New Jersey Turnpike outer roadway, southbound north of Interchange 9, Route 18 in New Brunswick. The right lane is blocked. Crash with injuries, 287 southbound exit 5 by Stelton Road, Piscataway. The ramp lane is closed. And delays on I-80 local lanes eastbound from west of exit 45, which is Beverwick Road, to exit 47A, 280 Parsippany Troy Hills. All lanes are open. That's about a 3-mile slowdown, just all volume at this hour. The approaches to the Hudson River, we're told now so this is the other direction from what you just saw. Holland Tunnel is only about 10 minutes to get across into Manhattan right now. It's 15 at the Lincoln. Upper and lower levels of the GWB. I don't know if that camera has changed again. They've been changing it all morning. Yeah, no, this is the one that we normally have. It's not bad at all. It's about 20 minutes to get over the GWB. There was an earlier incident on the upper level that seems to have been taken care of. 8:06 is our time in Belmar. A shocking road rage incident caught on camera Saturday afternoon on D Street. 37-year-old Anthony Alvear allegedly punched a 70-year-old cyclist, breaking his jaw after a bit of a verbal dispute over a stop sign. The victim, hospitalized and recovering from surgery, was riding with his wife when Alvear stopped his car and attacked. Alvear was quickly arrested, charged with aggravated assault, faces up to 10 years in prison, currently held at Monmouth County Correctional Institution. 8:06, a Skillman mother who admitted to suffocating her 2 young children in 2021 was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Yue Chu, whose hands were zip-tied to the steering wheel of her disabled car, killed her 7-year-old daughter and 10-month-old son, found bound in their car seats in the back. Deemed a danger to herself and others, she's now under inpatient hospitalization with court-monitored treatment. 8:07 is our time in Ocean County. 6 residents have been charged in a major narcotics bust following a 2-month investigation. Authorities targeted a Toms River business and residents in Waretown and Jackson, uncovering a drug delivery service that was called the Green Bean. Detectives seized over 25 pounds of marijuana, methamphetamine, psilocybin, which is hallucinogenic mushrooms, and a loaded handgun. Glenn and Jennifer Jazikoff face multiple charges, including endangering the welfare of a child, while 4 others were charged with distribution and conspiracy. In Ventnor City, 24-year-old police officer Ryan Bonani faces serious charges, including second-degree official misconduct and computer theft, plus 3 counts of third-degree invasion of privacy. Bonani allegedly recorded a woman undressing and engaging in a sex act in a holding cell on July 6th, then shared the footage on Snapchat. The Ventnor Police Department reported the incident to prosecutors the next day. Bonani, a 2-year veteran, remains in custody. 8:08 is our time in Asbury Park. 2 police officers are being hailed as heroes for saving an 8-year-old boy from a raging house fire on Prospect Avenue. They were responding to 911 calls just before 9 a.m. on Monday. Officers John Walsh and DeWitt Bacon, they arrived on scene as the flames engulfed the second floor. Well, they realized they couldn't wait for fire crews, so they yelled and caught the boy just in time as he jumped from a window. They yelled up to him and said, "Jump," and caught him. And that's a very brave thing to do, because a lot of times the people on the catching end break their arms, their backs, their necks, their shoulders, because the person coming down, as they increase in speed, the weight increases. And physiologically, that's just what happens. And they managed to save that boy's life. They didn't think of their own at all. So they are heroes. New Jersey State PBA President Peter Andreev praised their split-second actions, calling them true heroes, and they are, who make a difference every day. 8:09 is our time. Water is flowing again in Patterson's Riverside section after crews repaired a 42-inch water main. It was a break at North First and Arch Streets over the weekend. The Passaic Valley Water Commission restored service by yesterday afternoon, but they paused their flushing program, addressing an earlier August 8th break, leaving thousands under a boil water advisory for 18 days. Flushing will resume today, so don't drink the water just yet if you are in those areas. But flushing will resume today to improve water quality. 809, this is from the why didn't we ever think of this before category. In Atlantic City, there is a shell recycling program boosting oyster habitats. Let me explain. Oyster shells and any mollusk shell, whether it be mussel, clam, etc., they're made of something called calcium carbonate. We need calcium for our bones too, right? So shells, teeth, bone, it's all made of calcium carbonate for the most part. It's the same stuff. It's just cemented together differently. That's all. Well, oysters, when we eat the oysters and we have the shells, we toss the shells. We usually throw them in the garbage. It ends up in a landfill. It's not the worst thing in the world because it helps nutrify the soil. But nonetheless, in oyster beds, the baby oysters need tons of calcium carbonate to grow their own shells. So why are we wasting the oyster shells by throwing them in a landfill? Instead, now they're collecting them. They're collecting so restaurants when they take a plate of oysters, bars, restaurants, etc., even clams, it doesn't really make a difference as long as it's a shell. Once the person's done eating, rather than toss it in the garbage, they're now collecting these discarded oyster shells, saving waste costs and keeping the shells out of landfills. They get cured so they're not full of bacteria from rotting flesh, etc., not to be gross. But they are deployed to enhance Mullica River's oyster reefs, supporting a resilient, self-sustaining population. So now you have the shells there that will break apart in the water, releasing the calcium carbonate, and the baby oysters can make their own shells based on that. It's brilliant. It's self-sustaining. The program's Project Shell, as it's called, SHELL, is to educate students on marine conservation. This eco-friendly initiative is expanding with new restaurant partners and public drop-off sites. So if you're a restaurateur, big or small, in and around the Atlantic City area, and hopefully this will spread throughout the state and around the country. It's smart. Don't chuck the oyster and clam and mussel shells, all those mollusk shells, even the quill. I believe we'll double check on this. I believe the quill of a calamari, right? Of a not a scungilla, but a calamari, which is squid, right? That little quill in the middle of a squid. I believe that's also calcium, but double check on that. It might be collagen. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, it's fascinating. 8:12 is our time. In a fiery Truth Social post, President Trump threatened to reopen an investigation into former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie over the Bridgegate scandal. The comments followed Christie's critical remarks on ABC's This Week, questioning the credibility of Ghislaine Maxwell's praise of Trump.
Look, Chris is a slob. Everybody knows it. I know Chris better than anybody in the room. I always felt he was guilty. But what he did is he took the George Washington Bridge, which is very serious. He closed down the George Washington Bridge. And you had medical people, you had ambulances caught up. This thing was closed down. And obviously he knew about it. But he blamed the young lady that worked for him and another person, and they got into a lot of trouble. She ultimately was, I don't know, exonerated, but she got out of it a little bit. But she went through hell. She was a young mother, nice person. I knew her a little bit. And another man went to jail. And Chris got off. And so when I listen to Chris speak his hate, I say, oh, what about the George Washington Bridge? Tell me about the George Washington Bridge. He blamed other people, but he knew all about it. So no, I don't know if they want to look at it. It's not for me. If they want to look at it, they can. You can ask Pam. I think we have other things to do, but I always thought he got away with murder.
Yes, the former Trump supporter also criticized Trump's handling of classified information compared to the recent FBI raid on John Bolton. Trump accused Christie of lying to avoid prison during Bridgegate, vowing that, quote, no one is above the law. The Trump administration is appealing a federal judge's ruling that Alina Habba, Trump's former lawyer, has unlawfully served as New Jersey's top federal prosecutor since the 1st of July. Attorney General Pam Bondi filed the appeal on Monday after Habba criticized the Senate's so-called blue slip tradition on Fox News, urging that it end. The blue slip tradition is that senators from a state, whenever there's a U.S. attorney appointed, they get to approve or deny approval because that U.S. attorney has to be approved by the entire Senate. But those two senators can prevent that person from coming for a vote, which is exactly what Senator Kim and Senator Booker did. New Jersey senators, those senators opposed the nomination vehemently, and despite a judicial panel replacing her with Desiree Lee Grace, Trump reinstated Hava, prompting the legal battle that's going on right now. The case now heads to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. But the blue slip rule is a tradition. It is not a law. So it is not mandatory that the full Senate follow what the two senators from New Jersey want. But just remember that if politics flip and Democrats are in charge of the Senate down the line, they may deny Republican senators the same. So something to keep in mind. 8:15, three school districts in Florida will test out a series of new drones armed with pepper spray pellets specifically designed to stop a school shooting. Campus Guardian Angel, a Texas-based company that engineered the drone tech system, came up with the concept. Miami-Dade County Public Schools, the largest district in the state of Florida, has already shown interest in participating. They've held test runs at a campus in July. Now, the drones would always be kept on a charger in a cabinet at participating schools, so they would be there in a moment's notice. They could be launched by school officials and controlled remotely by the company in Texas as needed. They have cameras on them if there was an emergency. When time is of the essence, the drones can stop an attacker in their tracks way before law enforcement can even get to the school. And a drone, of course, does not care if it gets shot at. Very important. 8:16, 59 degrees now in northern New Jersey. It is 61 in Trenton. When we come back, there is a confirmed case of measles in Hudson County. What you need to know to stay safe. Sun with a few clouds today, cooler, highs in the upper 70s. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We're back in 30. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:17. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Sun, a few clouds today, nice day, a little cooler, highs upper 70s. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. A lovely start to the day and a really pretty start to the weekend as well. Looking ahead to the holiday, where we'll have weather that pretty much mimics what we'll enjoy the next few days. The temperatures starting off cool in the 60s, climbing into the upper 70s and low 80s with low humidity, lots of sunshine, a very pretty finish to the month of August, and a nice way to wrap up unofficial summer, fitting how it's been pretty decent this summer. We've had amazing weekends and lots of dry weather to go along with it. Notice the clearing that takes place over the Northeast. This sticks around for the next several days, as does the low humidity. The dew points, rock bottom, down in the 30s and even some 40s there, 38 in Hackensack and Newark. That is like October levels of dry weather. That'll be around over the next few days. Notice a little bit more humidity working in with the sea breeze by Thursday, so the beaches will feel a little more humid come Friday, but that's also when some clouds come in by the end of the work week. And now by Saturday, start off the weekend, we have lovely amounts of sun. Saturday looks beautiful. Sunday also very fair with some high thin clouds, but even going into Monday, I think we'll start off the holiday with some thin cloud cover, but overall mostly sunny skies. At least we keep any rain chances away, and temperatures will still stay warm in the mid and upper 70s, which is still slightly below average, but we'll take the sun where we can. The weekend weather looking great, mostly sunny on Saturday with a few more clouds by Sunday, but still with temperatures holding in the mid and upper 70s, it looks warm and dry and stays clear right into the holiday on Monday. We'll take a check of the 7-day forecast, Ken. That's coming up in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. 8:19 is our time. In terms of traffic, what we have now to report on I-80, we have delays on I-80 local lanes eastbound from west of exit 45 Beverwick Road to exit 47A 280. It's about a 2.5 mile delay. You can see that it looks like it's moving. It's only going about 30 miles an hour, but it is moving. It's not a big delay, and that's because of the breakdown you could see in the right shoulder. So it could be a lot worse considering the sun. If you look at the shadow. So the sun is literally in the faces of those drivers as they drive. Usually that causes delays. Not so bad. 30 miles an hour. I'll take it any day of the week. Not so bad at all. We have a crash on Route 139 westbound at St. Paul Avenue, Jersey City. The left lane is currently closed, and a disabled truck on the Turnpike Outer Roadway southbound north of Interchange 9 in New Brunswick. We were looking all over. This is by Route 18. That's a big area. Yet all the cameras we got 5 different cameras in that area. None of them show this particular incident. But again, it's a disabled truck on the Turnpike Outer Roadway just north of Interchange 9, Route 18, New Brunswick, with the right lane blocked. We also have delays on Route 24 westbound exit 7, Route 124, JFK Parkway, Millburn. All lanes are open but slow, and delays on Route 4 eastbound from Hackensack Avenue in Hackensack to Bell Avenue in Teaneck. All lanes open, about a 3-mile delay. Hudson River crossings now, Lincoln and Holland moving pretty well, about a 10 to 15 minute crossover. 8095 approaches upper and lower to the GWB, moving great with 15 minutes as well there. 8:20 is our time, and we have a confirmed case of measles in Hudson County. It is prompting public health alerts for commuters in Bayonne, Jersey City, and Hoboken. Health authorities confirm this is the 7th case in New Jersey so far this year, matching the total from 2024 and possibly signaling a resurgence if not managed swiftly. Measles is very catchy because the virus sits and lives for a long time. That's the problem. This morning, to contextualize everything, I love our producer who wrote that, to contextualize. You're testing my verbal abilities and how concerned viewers should be. Dr. Steve Goldberg, Chief Medical Officer at Health Tracks, the nation's leading infectious disease laboratory. Doc, how do you like this? They're writing contextualize. I can't even say cat at 8:20 in the morning, and they're writing contextualized in my teleprompter. I love it. But good morning to you. Good to have you on, Dr. Goldberg.
Good to be with you, Ken.
So measles is a very serious thing because the virus, if somebody comes around, coughs or something with measles, doesn't the virus sit around and live for quite a while?
You're absolutely right, Ken. It can sit in the air for about 2 hours after someone with the infection coughs, and that's a problem. It's also very, very contagious. So if you're not immunized and someone near you has the infection and coughs, you've got a 90% chance of getting the infection. It's highly contagious, and that's a problem with the disease.
I had no idea it was that. I knew it was contagious, but that's amazing. And it's interesting that I literally went to pick up a prescription at my local pharmacy the other day. And among the things they asked me was, would you like to schedule for your flu shot? And then they added, do you want to schedule an MMR vaccine? Which I thought was interesting because I live in a county not far from this area. Um, I'm 58. I would have had an MMR shot, I guess, as a baby. How long does that last, and should adults consider getting another shot?
Yeah, adults should consider getting another shot. Certainly, if you're immunocompromised, certainly, if you're concerned that your measles protection is waned off. There are a couple ways to check. One is to get a blood test to see if you still have antibodies. If you don't have any underlying condition, the easiest thing to do is simply go get a single measles shot.
And most health insurances cover it. It doesn't hurt. It takes a second. You could walk into your most supermarkets that have a pharmacy, right? The most CVS's and Walgreens. It's easier to make an appointment online, but you could just walk in. If it's not a busy time, they'll sit you down. It takes a couple of minutes. And just for the peace of mind of knowing that you're protected, it should say it all. How serious is getting measles for an older person versus for a younger person who's in good shape?
It is serious. They're more likely to have life-threatening problems with it, and they include serious respiratory infection, end organ injury, and frankly, even death. The very young who haven't gotten immunized and the very old who are likely immunocompromised and also have waning immunity are the two groups, and also pregnant women who might not be immunized are at the highest risk.
Wow. And do we know much about this particular measles case in Hudson County? Are you familiar with any details on this, doctor?
Yeah, I've been following it and checked as early as this morning. So the health department reported that an individual with active measles was riding in trains in New Jersey sometime between the 13th and 15th and got identified and is getting evaluated. Their information is certainly private. What we do know is they've not had any identified contacts with anybody who's not been immunized. So there's no evidence of, if you will, a spread or an outbreak linked to this case.
Thankfully. I just want to clarify, as you just pointed out, it was in New Jersey. This is from the New Jersey Department of Health. And just to clarify for everybody, so they're aware of where this happened and the dates. So apparently, the individual, and it's not their fault per se, because they didn't may not have realized at that point they were infected, but and wisely they knew where they went, which was this is a great help. So they were at the NJ Transit Hudson Bergen Light Rail 8th Street, Bayonne to Hoboken branch, August 13th, 14th, and 15th, between 9 a.m. and 11:30 a.m., and between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. So if, oh, and they were also at the 8th Street Light Rail Station in Bayonne, those same times, Path Newark, World Trade Center line, and Exchange Place Station, Jersey City. So on those dates, 13th, 14th, 15th, if you were at any of those locations, you didn't have to be in direct contact, right? That person could have been walking through. That's all they needed to do. And that virus sits in the air a few hours and you could have been exposed. So just beware. And what is the rule now? If you think you were exposed, it could take up until I think September 11th before symptoms show up, right?
It's 10 to 14 days after an exposure before you might show symptoms. So you have to keep that in mind. We're almost at the end of the interval of someone who wasn't immunized contacting this person and being concerned. But in general, if you've got fever, you're feeling ill, red eyes, and are starting to develop a rash, just talk with your clinician. It's an easy way to figure out best next steps.
And the good news about health tracks, thankfully your company does exist, is that instead of submitting a test and waiting 3 or 4 days with health tracks, they submit that test the next day. The results are out so that you don't have to keep somebody isolated if it turns out they don't have measles. You don't have to keep them locked in their home for 3 or 4 days. By the next morning, they know, right? So you provide urgent care centers, hospitals, doctors' offices, et cetera, these test kits. Talk about that.
Yes, we're the largest provider of outpatient infectious disease testing in the United States. We are able to provide clinicians with a result the next morning because of a strategic relationship with UPS. So our tests are picked up overall about 4 p.m. anywhere in the continental United States, flown to our main lab in Louisville. Team works overnight and results it out the next morning. And clinicians say that information helps them make right decisions the first time, and also for other infections are more selective with use of antibiotics. Antibiotic resistance is a big problem in the United States.
Mhm. Because everybody thinks that no matter what their respiratory illness, that an antibiotic will knock it out. If it's viral, an antibiotic does nothing except potentially cause antibiotic resistant strains of bacteria to form, correct?
Exactly, Ken. And sadly, for respiratory complaints, antibiotics are overprescribed about 50% of the time. And that has led to more and more antibiotics not working for people with infections. So it's a real problem. So getting the right diagnosis first is a good way to make sure you get better faster.
Yeah, and I know I've traveled to Europe, I've traveled to the Caribbean. There are a lot of places on the planet where you don't even need a script for antibiotics for most of them, not all of them, but most of them, right? Where you can get them off the shelf. And the good news is that in many cases, the pharmacist is a doctor of pharmacy and can kind of guide you one way or the other in those places. But the bad news is that all too often they just say, here, take some antibiotics. And so with that around the world, I'm sure that hasn't helped issues.
It hasn't helped issues. And worldwide, antibiotic resistance is tracking to be the leading cause of death worldwide by 2050. So it's a real worldwide problem. In the United States, to your point, we have to have a prescription from a clinician in order to access antibiotics. That's helpful. And then early testing, getting a right diagnosis, also helps the judicious or careful use of antibiotics by clinicians.
Well, what a difference Health Tracks makes because of the speed of getting this information. What's the website for Health Tracks, Doctor?
www.healthtracksrx.com, Ken.
So there you go. So it's www.healthtrackrx.com. Dr. Steve Goldberg, Chief Medical Officer at Health Tracks. And just so that people who, because we talk about this a lot, and I'm fascinated by this, very basic but brilliant idea. They have the lab at the airport in Louisville. So when the UPS planes come in, it's not like they sit at the airport for 6 months and then they make their way across town. And then when somebody gets around to it, they test. No, it literally comes off the plane at the lab, at the airport. The test results come in, it goes into a computer. Your doctor knows next morning. That's brilliant. Like, why hasn't this been thought of? But thankfully, you guys thought of it first, I guess, and made it work. And you really help clinicians all over the country make proper diagnoses. Dr. Steve Goldberg, Chief Medical Officer at Health Tracks. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you on, Doc.
Thank you, Ken. Have a great day.
You as well. Thank you. 8:30, and when we come back, there is a new kind of bar in town, and booze ain't the focus in this one. The phone lines are open. We're going to take your calls at 888-658-0234. Sunshine, a few clouds today, a cooler, nice highs upper 70s. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman, host of Energy Matters. Join me every night at 6 p.m. where we're discussing energy affordability, challenges, and solutions with stakeholders and elected officials. Join me weekdays at 6 p.m. on Energy Matters on ONNJ.
Very good morning to Tuesday, August 26th, 2025, 62 degrees northern New Jersey, 61 in Trenton. And I am Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Lots of sun today, a few clouds, but beautiful. Highs upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with a detailed Garden State forecast. Mike, it's interesting that Pam, our director, selected that rejoiner at 8:30, that kind of ethereal, because we're going to be talking with somebody who runs a very special kind of bar, and you'll want to stick around to find that interview.
Okay.
It's very fun and very cool. So I think
I can't wait.
Pam subliminally selected that rejoiner, and I think it works very well for us. Yes, there we go.
Well,
Anyways, a
Pam
beautiful,
is
beautiful day
setting
today.
it really is. Pam is setting the bar high because the weather is really going to set a new high with terms of just how much sun is around, how much clear sky. I mean, even look at the cloud cover. All of the clouds are out to sea this morning. There's nothing over New Jersey. So staying nice and dry and pleasant today. With that, air temperatures climb quickly into the low 80s at the beaches. It'll look beautiful. Upper 70s inland, a little bit of a dry feel today, but a nice dose of sun that'll be with us not only for today, but also tomorrow as well as Thursday. Now, the sun sets a little earlier and earlier each day, approaching 7:30 by the time we get to the Labor Day holiday. But beyond that, we'll keep it clear until then. A moderate risk of rip currents. This is the first time we've dropped from a high level in about a week, and that, of course, is due to Erin long gone. But there's still some rough water out there, even though it's much calmer than last week. And water temperatures remain in the mid 70s with high tide happening late this morning and then again later tonight. So the closest system we can find are the remnants of Tropical Storm Fernand, which are really dissipating as you see it over the last few hours. So we'll enjoy the clearing today. Lots of sunshine over the next few days with the fronts that move through and keep most of the rain out to sea. So there's one system going on by to our south. We are protected by the high pressure. It keeps us nice and dry, even going into tomorrow and Thursday. Now, our next system that comes in by Thursday evening will keep some clouds around for Friday, maybe give us some rain. That's certainly likely, but overall a gray sky forecast for Friday, which clears just in time for Saturday morning. So the weekend still looks great. Lots of sunshine returning for Saturday, sticking around for Sunday, and even going into Monday, we're nice and dry. It's just that one day where I think Friday in the middle of the board there will likely have some clouds throughout the afternoon as temperatures only climb into the 70s. But a reinforcing dry shot going into the weekend with Saturday and Sunday, and of course the holiday for Monday looking beautiful with highs still running a bit below average, but we keep it sunny throughout the weekend proper.
Okay. I told you yesterday and I told you last week, every time you say the terms or the term below average, that's
Yeah,
usually during a toss back to me. And I
but
I
I ended
think
with
now
proper, right? I tried to do it on an upbeat note, Ken.
no, no, Pam. Pam, you notice this, right? He always says below average, and then within the sentence, it's just I'm just saying. Pam thinks it's hysterical. That's great. All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Mike, I'll remember you at Christmas. That's all. Anyway, we'll check back with you, buddy. Thank you, Mike. 8:35 is our time. 58 degrees in northern New Jersey and our temperature 61 in Trenton. In terms of roadway incidents, we only have one major one to talk about right now. We take a look at Route 139. And this is oh, come on. Really? Literally 10 seconds ago, right, Pam? This is Mother Nature playing a joke or God playing a joke with us here because that roadway, the leftmost lane, maybe they just cleared it. I'm glad for the drivers. There was a crash on 139 the upper level, westbound by St. Paul Avenue, Jersey City, with the left shoulder closed. Clearly, they just opened it. Good. I'm happy. Everybody driving in. Now you got a good deal. We do have a delay now. We go right to the GWB cam, Pam, when you get a chance. Delays on the GWB upper level eastbound. So that's going into the city. Apparently, it's all lanes, and now we're up to 15 to 20 minutes. So that's you can see just a little bit of a buildup on the GWB approach. They haven't been saying this is the second incident, if you will, causing delays on the GWB. There's something going on. They're not, they don't, there's a reason why. I'm sure they're not telling us what it is. But nonetheless, earlier this morning, we had real heavy delays due to an incident. They didn't say what. And now we have buildup of delays now, GWB. So GWB is about 20 minutes. Lincoln and Holland, only 10 to 15. Best way into Manhattan. There you have it. It's kind of an unusual travel morning. 8:36 is our time. Crafting memorable moments goes beyond decor and DJs, even for couples and brands and event goers seeking something sophisticated and inclusive. There's a new kind of bar in town. It was founded in 2023 by Christian Ribeiro. Bar Canna blends upscale service with cannabis forward innovation. In other words, pot related stuff, delivering bespoke. You notice I had to stop and look. I wanted to make sure I was on the right script. As I was reading that, I'm like, that sounds like we're talking about a children's party store. No, this is not children's. Anyway, delivering bespoke experiences through both through wonderful activations and luxe private events. I think you wrote this, didn't you? Good morning to our to our friend Christian Ribeiro. Come on the camera. Did you write that intro? It sounds like you wrote it
Good.
for our producer.
So I did write that intro.
It's all good. Listen, we love your whole concept. I'm not condemning you. I'm praising you. Tell everybody what Bar Cana is and where you're located. Let's start with that.
Sure. So we're located in New Jersey. We travel all over New Jersey. And Barcana, we operate with a dual model approach. And essentially, we do experiential marketing for brands and for dispensaries. And we do private events like weddings and birthdays, anniversaries, fundraisers.
Listen, this is brilliant. So is it mostly we're talking about edibles that you guys bring on?
No, so we do everything. We do everything from flour, concentrate, vapes, edibles, mocktails. We do snow cones, live joint rolling. We'll do custom party favors. So nothing's impossible.
Okay. And listen, I was that guy who 5 years ago would have said we don't need more hallucinogenic type substances on the market. And by the way, I include alcohol in that. I think, alcohol is the most abused drug, obviously, period. And I'm glad to see that there's been a drastic reduction in alcohol use. My concern is that younger people are getting involved in some of the newer pot that's out there and some of the new we call it politely cannabis. It's cleaned up. But do we see the THC levels really elevated a lot in some of the newer cannabis? You're doing it responsibly. So I praise you for that. It's not you, but I know that a lot of the people who don't do it the legal way, which is what you're doing, they're now going back to the guy on the street and they're getting stuff that's way stronger than it needs to be. Am I wrong?
No, so the cannabis is definitely stronger, and there's definitely a bunch of different methods of consumption now. So it's no longer just smoking a joint. You can eat it, you can drink it, you can put a transdermal patch on. So the
Mhm.
market is definitely evolving. The products are evolving. They're definitely getting stronger. Most markets you have essentially a THC driven market, so they're not going for the other cannabinoids that have medical properties as well. They're just going for the THC, which is, the focus of the market right now. But it is shifting into, CBN is a good alternative for sleep, and it's in a cannabinoid. So they're shifting to other cannabinoids slowly, but it's still pretty much a THC driven market.
Mhm. Hey, listen, I use CBD oils for my arthritis. I use them every day. It's a derivative, obviously. It's great. It's the non, for those who don't realize, it's the stuff that doesn't make you high, but it's a great byproduct of cannabinoids. And and THC, listen, we didn't seem to, we used to chuckle when people said, let's go for a couple of drinks. Ha ha ha. But then whenever someone said, let's go for a joint, it was like, what? What? No, like there was something so wrong. You're still talking about intoxicating. And if you're okay with having champagne at a wedding, why not be okay with having an edible or transdermal patch as long as you're not driving, you have a designated driver and you're going for a celebration, right? And that's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a much better event. We haven't had any events where anybody gets aggressive. The cannabis events are very peaceful. I always say that they're the best parties because they start on time, they end on time, and there's really no issue. So it's really a lot of fun. It's a new alternative that I think is definitely going to take shape.
I'm glad you said that because yes, alcohol does bring out a lot of aggression, not just men. Oh my God, the worst girl fights I've seen have been drunk women at bars, and they get into some nasty hair pulling and not fun. So yes, alcohol definitely brings out aggression, and you're right. Pot tends to mellow people out. Again, as long as you're not driving, you got a designated driver in this day of Uber and Lyft. If you decide, listen, I'm going to smoke or I'm going to vape or I'm going to do a patch or whatever, just take a car service home and enjoy yourself. As long as it doesn't become your all encompassing thing, and you just do it for recreation at a wedding or at a party. Why not? So you integrate hospitality expertise into cannabis events to create something totally new. So talk about that because it's not a location. You go from place to place, right? You go from party event to party event or gathering to gathering.
Yeah. So we go to any wedding, any birthday, essentially, you're 21 and over, you want to have a celebration and you want to incorporate something different into your event, we can be there no problem. And essentially, it came about because I started to use it in 2010 due to a precancerous disease that I was diagnosed with.
Mhm.
So I started to see the actual benefits of cannabis. Obviously, I was using it a little bit recreational before that, but I think even if people are using it recreational, they're not aware of the benefits they might be receiving while they're using it. So after some research and some time, my wife and I put together Barcana to kind of merge the both industries. I have a lot of experience in the hospitality industry, so I definitely wanted to bring those two worlds in together to replicate that feel, that lounge and bar feel at events. So people, when you come up to the bar, you're hanging out, you're getting a joint rolled by one of our bartenders, you're talking with your friends at the bar while our bartender makes your mocktail with infused, tincture or whatever the case may be. So it's very much a relaxed feel. People are really enjoying themselves. They're laughing. They're talking about their old cannabis experiences, so it's very much a very enjoyable moment.
So you can infuse drinks with this? I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So we work with different brands. So essentially they have different products like tinctures, or they have a squeeze select where you can essentially just drop a few drops in your drink, and you have a little THC in there.
That's fascinating. And the difference being here is that number one, you're not going to get hungover. You're not going to get nauseous, right? You're not going to get, in fact, just the opposite. Doesn't that help calm your stomach?
It does help calm the stomach. So there are situations where you can overconsume and you can get nauseous, you can get, very ill effects. So we monitor that very strictly. We know that this is something so new that one mess up and it can throw us out forever. So we are keeping track on that. And our bartenders are monitoring the situation. So we dose properly, we engage our guests and ask for, their experience with cannabis to be able to give them the proper dosage so they have a good time and avoid that situation. But in most cases, if you are feeling a little off, cannabis could definitely help you.
That's just fascinating. And again, yeah, you're the responsible one. I just get concerned with people who feel that now that it's legal, et cetera, I can go to the legal dispenser, or I'll go back to Joe on the street who's selling the crap that could be laced with fentanyl. This is what gets me. You're doing it the right way, and it pisses me off that you end up getting besmirched, if you will, because the jerk on the street is selling the illegal stuff. And it really pisses me off. You're doing it clean, you're doing it regulated, you're following the rules because it's a business. You want it to last, and you're paying taxes. You want it to last because you want to do it right, et cetera, following the rules. And then people still go to the guy on the street and buy it because they're shaving a couple of bucks, but you don't know what the hell you're getting on the street. And it's dangerous. This is not dangerous, doing it the legal way. You're doing it as safe and legal as possible. I appreciate you. Listen, and you're a good business person in New Jersey. What is a website for more information, Christian?
Sure. So you can visit www.barcananj.com.
And that's two N's, right?
That's two N's.
Barcanna.
Yep,
All right. All right.
absolutely.
Listen, come back again. I think this is a fascinating concept, and I hope you do really well, Christian. Really, come back and tell us how things continue to go. It's been 2 years in the make, and we hope it continues to grow. Barcana founder Christian Ribeiro, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, Ken. It was a pleasure.
Likewise. Thank you. 8:46 right now. We'll be back in just a little bit. And we're going to talk about the new school year upon us. At least one teacher is working to stock up the classroom with essentials for students from lower income homes. Sunny today, a few clouds, cooler, highs upper 70s. We'll be back in 30. Pam did that on purpose. We have the guy talking about cannabis on 10 seconds ago, and you did that on purpose, didn't you? It was certainly subliminal if it wasn't on purpose. She said encore because we did the intro of the segment with it and then the outro. All right, move on, Ken. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:47, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Sunshine, a few clouds today, cooler, highs upper 70s, straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Mike, the funniest thing is I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't do pot. I do none of it. But I also, because I'm very libertarian, I understand and respect as long as it's done legally and you're not driving, et cetera. And this is what you would like to do. I don't want
Sure.
government telling me you can't. So that's why while I don't advocate it for, certainly not for anyone under 21, but there's a market for it, and why not? It's just fascinating to see where it goes. We've allowed alcohol to exist for so long, and it's destroyed a lot of lives. So we'll see
Yeah,
where it
yeah.
goes with this.
I think yes, with the right regulatory base in place, New Jersey's on track for taking the right steps of seeing where it goes. So it's come a long way. Hey, we've got sunshine on tap for the next few days, Ken. Beautiful weather throughout New Jersey, especially northern New Jersey today, with the clear sky lasting with the sunshine and of course lower humidity. Now with highs today that won't even reach average. We should be in the mid 80s. We'll get up to 75 there up in northern New Jersey, but it's all about the dry weather that persists because we stick with the drought there for the northern part of the state, thanks to below average rainfall amounts for the last month and even beyond 30 days. We've had a little bit of a dry summer, so most of the northern half of the state seeing the continued dry weather, at least into next week. No tropical development. That's the only system we could find, and even that doesn't have a chance of becoming a named storm. And the wave heights are nice and calm as compared to a week ago where you couldn't even go near the water because those waves were so rough. So a good change for the better as our forecast remains, at least on average, in terms of temperature, most of the central US staying below average, and then slightly drier than average weather through the first week of September as we take it into next month, with fall looking a bit dry as well. In fact, we'll wrap up the unofficial last week of summer with the only chance of rain being on Friday. Right through today, tomorrow, and Thursday, we stay clear. Chance of rain on Friday, small, but there. And then I think we're back to dry weather with the cooler feel come Saturday and Sunday, even into Monday, staying sunny with temperatures only in the upper 70s. So this is kind of a let you know that fall is around the corner. Back to school weather is here, especially with a little bit of a cooler feel each morning, and temperatures down in the 50s right throughout the weekend. Slightly milder at the shore by a few degrees, but overall looking very pleasant, above average, Ken, going into next week in terms of the amount of sun that we get for the holiday.
I blow kisses through the camera. Thank you so much,
Before
Mike.
we
I
finalize that
appreciate you,
Christmas
buddy.
list.
Yeah, you're back on. You're back on at the top with a Kris Kringle sticker. There you go. All right, pal. We'll check you out again. Thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah.
8:50 is our time. Temperature 63 degrees, northern New Jersey, 61 in Trenton. In terms of traffic, traffic has lightened up a lot throughout the whole region, throughout much of New Jersey. Earlier today was a rough day. So let's take a look right now. The only thing we really have, this is on the New Jersey Turnpike. They're just calling them mild delays. Eastern Spur northbound from the Southern Mixing Bowl to south of interchange 15W I-280 in Newark. All lanes open. They're saying a 2-mile delay due to volume. That's what you see there. Those two lanes meet up ahead by the Pulaski Skyway, which is up on the right side of your screen. And you can see that's just really volume. The people on the right do have the option of getting up by 78 and by Newark Airport. The people on the left are the express lanes. Not doing so much of an express right now. Again, it's simply volume at 8:50 in the morning, and that should lighten up within a half an hour. Other than that, we just have our Hudson River approaches the approaches to the Hudson River crossing, I should say. Lincoln and Holland both reporting 10 to 15 minutes, and the GWB upper and lower levels. We'll take a look at that right now. Volume's giving us 15 to 20 minutes crossover with no major issues to report. 8:51 is our time, and with the new school year starting in New Jersey next week, many teachers are working to get their classrooms stocked with the best supplies for their kids, their students. One teacher trying to get her classroom stocked up for the new year and new students is Magalena Brodka. Today, she brings that same passion and dedication to a low-income school where every day is new and every student is precious, and she proudly declares, quote, "I'm part of the future." Magdalena, good morning. Good to have you on.
Hey, Ken, good morning. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. And let me just say, my mom worked in schools. She taught, she worked in the administration. My mother-in-law worked in a very low-income school district in South Florida with kids who came. A lot of them didn't even have the ability to wash their clothes. So they had one of those programs where they had washing machines at the school for the kids. I bless you and applaud you for what you do. So first, what inspired you to be a teacher? And you started, what is this? You started at 7 years old? What's that about?
Ever since I was 7, I had a great, amazing second grade teacher. Her name was Miss Cramsey. I believe we were her first class, so she just brought the energy, the experiences. It was like a once in a lifetime classroom experience I won't forget. And I remember one day I was sitting there and I'm like, that's what I want to do. Like, I want to be her. And so, yeah, ever since I was in the second grade, I just wanted to be a teacher. And I did it. I conquered my dream.
That's amazing. And you say that being part of the future is one of the most rewarding parts of your job. Talk about that.
So, unfortunately, we're not going to be here forever, and times are changing. Technology is being integrated, and soon enough, unfortunately, we're going to be getting old. So, we're not going to be really running this country. The kids are going to be making majority of the decisions of how everything is going to be played out. So, if I provide them the necessary skills, ways to tackle situations and the world and what we call life, which is very challenging recently, they'll be able to give us a great community and like where we live and stuff like that.
And talk about Donors Choose. What is Donors Choose? How does it work? And well, first explain that, and then I'll ask the next question that's related to it.
Oh, Ken, I could go on about this website all day. Unfortunately, we don't have all day, but my colleagues and I discovered this about a year ago last summer. It's a nonprofit organization, and basically they fund teacher classrooms from random people throughout the United States. So it's called Donors Choose. So the donor gets to choose what list they want to fund. And my current list that is up, there's some last minute essentials that I need to get for the school year. But from this website, I have gotten 13 projects funded, and that's equivalent to $3,097 that I haven't had to pay with my own money.
That's crazy. My mother-in-law used to spend five to $6,000 a year for the kids. That's all, because school supplies have gotten crazy.
Crazy, yeah.
Fortunately, though, this time of year for anybody, if you have a local school not participating in Donors Choose, just want to give a heads up. You'll find on occasion, you'll find Target has a sale, you'll find Walmart has a sale, right? Even sometimes supermarkets have a sale,
And only
or
catch
certainly
Dollar Tree. Go
right,
to the
Dollar
dollar
Tree,
store.
that's right.
Well,
Well,
you
you
know,
know
I
what?
go there, I get a bunch of stuff from there, and I'm paying less than what I would get at all these other stores.
I
Dollar
used
Tree is
to,
the key to a teacher's heart. It's the key.
that's it. That's a smart thing. That's a smart thing. When I worked for Channel 7 years ago, I was there 20 years, and they're owned by Disney. And Disney has their back to school backpack campaign. God bless them for that. It's a great campaign. And so they used to bring about 100 backpacks into the newsroom for all of the news anchors to fill. And so you physically had the backpack. And I used to take that backpack into the different stores. And it's funny, the anchors tried to outdo each other. It's like, my kid isn't getting a cheap pencil. My kid's getting the good pack. My kid. And
They
so,
want
like,
the
the
good
anchors,
stuff.
we would end up, the kids who got those backpacks get like $500 worth of back to school stuff. They got like gold pens and stuff. It was crazy. These kids are like, what on earth am I going to do with this? But it's fun because you want to bestow upon these kids that may not have anything or may have had experiences in the past of being embarrassed because they didn't have their school supplies. We want them to be as proud and as happy. The last thing they should have to worry about is not having school supplies because they don't have the money. And God bless you for doing what you're doing and for Donors Choose. What a great idea. This is so smart. So, with all those projects funded, you must be so excited. Have you talked to the kids' families yet, or is that something that happens like after the first day?
So this last class that I had this past school year, that's when I really got into Donors Choose. And any project I would put, I asked them, I was like, what do you guys want? Like, this is for you. So I even do a treasure chest every Friday. The kids get tickets for like rewarding behavioral test grades. So I did even one project with just like treasure chest stuff. And anytime throughout I got a donation or our list was going closer to being funded, I showed them on the screen. I'm like, guys, like we're almost there. Like we got it. And then anytime we got a project funded, I would be like, all right, drum roll. And then we would do like a little drum roll and it would be on the screen, like the lights that come out of their eyes. Like I never forget that every single time.
I love
And
it.
it's just so
I love
great
it.
that when the stuff comes in, they're like, oh, when's it coming today, tomorrow? I'm like, well, unfortunately, the post service doesn't work that fast. But they knew once I got a bunch of boxes in the front of the room, they would be cheering, right in the morning, 8 o'clock. They're like, they want me to open it. And that's what I do. I open it in front of them, see what we got. We talk about the expectations for any of the stuff. Or if it's just, pencils, materials like that, I give it to them right away. And, I'm excited to do more lists with Donors Choose. It's literally changed my career full circle.
I love it. I love it. And how old are the kids that you teach, by the way?
They're a great age, 8 and 9. They're third grade.
Those are like the kids with the good hearts who are respectful before they turn to 13. I'm just saying, no, no,
Yeah,
no, 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 no. God bless them all.
I
But
I picked
you
third
know,
grade because that's the first testing grade, so it's their first time
right.
taking the state test, so they get a little nervous, but they're old enough to do anything on their own, but they're still young enough for all the fun stuff.
I love it. I love it. We're down to about 30 seconds. So what is the Donors Choose project? How can they find it? It's online as Donors Choose?
Yeah, so if you go to Donors Choose, I believe it's maybe .org or .com, I'm not too sure, but if you just
I'm
maybe go
sure
on
they Google it.
Google it.
Yeah,
If you're a teacher, you just get started. They do a brief description, you put up a picture, and then every project you do, you just put, an essential of why you need these materials. And they do matches. Like if you put $10, it could be $20 and so on. And once one
I
is
love it.
done, you could go ahead and do the next one.
The program is called Donors Choose. If you'd like to help out Teacher Magdalena Brodka, I wish we could go on. We're out of time now, but thank you for joining us this morning. Have a happy school year. God bless you and your students.
Thanks so much, Ken. Have a great day.
Come back again, please. You too. Be well. She's great. I love teachers. And that is on New Jersey mornings for your Tuesday. Sunny, few clouds today, highs upper 70s. Have a great one. We'll see you again tomorrow morning starting at 7.